Alright, greetings Kiss Nation. This is going to be a Kiss topic, and the Kiss topic is focusing around Paul Stanley. And the topic is Paul Stanley on how Kiss handles Kiss tribute bands. It's a matter of giving them the license to do it, that can be revoked at any time. I heard about this topic a few days ago, and when I wanted to get my thoughts all together so I can make this topic. So let's see what Talk has to say, and let's get into it. Kiss frontman Paul Stanley is featured guest on the latest episode of Howie Mandel Does Stuff podcast, hosted by the comedian and his daughter Jacqueline Schultz, referencing the fact that countless Kiss tribute bands profit from the goodwill of the legendary rock act. Stanley said, "There are some Kiss tribute bands that we've allowed to continue. It's a matter of giving them the license to do it that can be revoked at any time, because all the makeup, all the personas are trademarked and nobody can use those for any purpose." While I do agree that the makeup is trademarked, there's no denying that. I do not understand why Paul is saying that it's a matter of giving these bands the license to still be able to do what they do. I don't quite understand that part, and the fact that I understand it a little bit that Paul says that they can tell the band to shut it down. I understand that a little bit, but I would also appreciate it more if they would allow the band, if the band thought they had like a good run for like maybe a few years, or how many years they have to do it, and then the band really kind of feels like, oh, well, we had a good run, let's pack it in, rather than Kiss telling them, you're done, you gotta shut it down. So I feel like I would appreciate that route more, rather than Gene or Paul trying to tell them, you gotta shut it down, you're cutting it a bit too close. And the only band that actually did cut it a bit too close, at least to what I saw, but it was still pretty cool though, was History in Belgium. They had like a pretty good replica of the stage. They used bombs. They were the only one that kind of did the guitar on the hook thing, and up until now they were the only one that did the rocket shooting. So that was kind of interesting. But I will admit they did kind of play it a bit too close to an actual Kiss show. So, but even still, they didn't. To my knowledge, they didn't, had to tell them Kiss did not tell them to shut down. I think they shut it down themselves, then came back. Then I don't think they're around anymore, to my knowledge. But some of the best bands in the United States are still around today. Like some of the oldest bands are still around today. Like there's Strutter, there's Mr. Speed. There's Kiss Army. There's in other countries there's Kiss My Ass, and there's Kiss Forever Band. All of which are still going strong today, and I feel like that Kiss is not going to shut down Strutter or Mr. Speed. Two of the most successful Kiss tribute bands in the United States. I don't think they're going to shut those down, especially Mr. Speed. Paul and Rich have a really trusting relationship, as Rich mentioned on Free Sides and on other podcasts he's been on. How Paul really respects Rich and what he's done with Mr. Speed. So that is kind of cool, but still I don't quite understand the whole Kiss is giving them the license to allow them to do what they do. I don't even think that's how it works. They just kind of. I don't even think that's how it works. I kind of thought, when Kiss was doing the convention tour stuff and they had Kiss tribute bands playing for them, I kind of thought, it was kind of formed organically like an actual band gets formed. And during the convention tour again, like I brought up, like when they had Kiss tribute bands playing for them, opening for them, it kind of looked like that Gene and Paul kind of like, man, this is kind of cool, this is kind of cool, we like this. And also, during the VH1 documentary about Kiss Nation, Gene and Paul once again were speaking very positively about Kiss tribute bands, not really talking about, oh, you need a license to, we're giving you the license to allow you to do what you do, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of the whole license thing kind of sounds like all business crap to me. So anyways, asked by Mandel if the Kiss camp has ever had to revoke the license from any Kiss tribute band that had perhaps crossed the line in the way they presented the Kiss tribute show, Paul said, if it becomes big business, it goes beyond a tribute. Yes, it's okay to make some money, but your heart has to be in the right place. I don't know what Paul means about your heart's gotta be in the right place to be a tribute band. I mean, yeah, I mean, like, tribute bands do make money. It doesn't have to be Kiss. Tribute bands in general do make money. And they also can grow in popularity. So I don't quite understand that your heart's got to be in the right place. I mean, if it becomes popular, that's good news for the tribute band. I mean, Mr. Speed didn't become, the go-to Kiss tribute band all in one night. I mean, they had to work their asses off to get to where they are today. I mean, so I don't know what Paul means about your heart's got to be in the right place. I mean, I feel like all Kiss tribute band members have their heart in the right place, and they do it because they love the band and they want to show their dedication and their passion to Kiss. And yeah, make some money on the side while doing it. Because, I mean, that's kind of how it works. Back in 2016, Stanley touched upon Kiss tribute bands while discussing the possibility of Kiss continuing with all new members once he and Kiss co-founder Gene Simmons had stopped touring, regarding how he would go about finding someone to replace him in Kiss. Paul said at the time, honestly, I think all the Kiss tribute bands are great, but none of them have a good Paul, so I'd like to see somebody who incorporates what I've done with a lot of things that inspired me, and it's not a matter of a puppet being me. That's kind of funny coming from him. It's somebody who comes in and contributes and adds something new to it while still following the template that's been set. I mean, in 2016 there were some good Pauls, not just Rich Kosek. There was Sebastian Gava, who was the go-to Paul Stanley, in my opinion. Not just for Rich Kosek. Sebastian Gava was an obvious candidate to replace Paul Stanley, at least in my opinion. He sounds like Paul when he sings. He did a lot of Paul's moves. It's really cool. I mean, and Sebastian Gaba has the voice to touch upon, some of the 80s Kiss stuff, because in Kiss My Ass, they touch upon some of the 80s Kiss stuff, like Crazy Nights, Make Me Rock Hard, stuff like that. They even do like Hell or High Water, not Hell or High, My Way, and Turn On the Night. So that's pretty cool. But the whole thing about the puppet thing, that's kind of funny considering that they're doing the whole Avatar thing. So that's pretty funny. That's hilarious. Kiss recently announced that the band's Kiss Army Storms Vegas event will transform into Kiss Cruise Landlocked in Vegas, set to take place November 14th to 16th at Tales 25 at the Virgin Hotels in Las Vegas. A special fan experience is being created with co-producers Pop House, creators of the boutique music vacations Topeka, and music-led destination experience company Vibe. I don't know if I pronounced that right or not. Newly included activities include a special acoustic Kiss kickoff set. Well, that's interesting. On Friday, November 14th, along with performance from former Kiss guitarist Bruce Kulick, Stephen Pearcy, Warren DeMartini, performing the music of Rat, ex-Skid Row singer Sebastian Bach, Quiet Riot, Black and Blue, Chris Jericho's Quarantine, that's nice. Kiss Your Bands, Mr. Speed, and Kiss Nation, again, awesome choices, because I mentioned it further on early in the topic, Kiss Nation met Kiss and that VH1 special back in like 2002. And Mr. Speed has a good relationship with Kiss themselves, so that's really cool. And comedian Craig Gass. Yeah, you can't have a Kiss event without Craig Gass, but with his Gene Simmons impression, that's funny. And DJ Noise, alright. There will also be a question and answer sessions with Simmons and Stanley, as well as longtime Kiss guitarist Tommy Fair. Manager Doc McGee. Other panelists includes Kiss producer Bob Ezrin. Oh shit, they got Bob Ezrin. Nice. Kiss photographer Lynn Goldsmith, and Kiss Army founders Bill Starkey and Jay Evans. Nice. Real cool. The Everything Kiss Paradise, which also includes support, artist meet and greet, curated Kiss gifts, and so much more, will take place in celebration of Kiss Army's 50th anniversary and the 30th anniversary of the first Kiss fan convention since retiring from touring in December 2023. This will be the first time Kiss performed together, and it'll be a one-of-a-kind moment for fans to experience Kiss Unmasked acoustic and electric shows featuring Simmons, Stanley, and Fair as special guests. Alright. I think that's kind of... Alright, Kiss had previously set a 12-show residency at Planet Hollywood, Las Vegas in 21 and 22, but ultimately canceled all the dates. Simmons told Rolling Stones in November 23, interview that the second Madison Square Garden End of the Road concert would mark the final Kiss and Makeup appearance. Kulick was a member of Kiss from 84 until 96. According to Billboard, Kulick is the one of only two musicians to not have worn makeup while being a member of Kiss, the only other being Mark St. John. Kulick had performed with the band again at their Kiss Cruise events in 2018 and 2021. Alright, that pretty much sums it up. And what are my thoughts on this Kiss topic? Well, I mean, I don't fully understand why Paul is kind of wording it like we're giving these bands the license to continue doing what their stuff. So it's kind of like I said, that whole license thing sounds like all business shit to me. So it's kind of like, well, business shit is not rock and roll stuff. I mean, it to me, like trippy bands, they form kind of like an organically thing. Like if Kiss fans want to form a band and pay tribute to Kiss, you know, that's cool. You know, that's cool. I mean, and let them do that. You know, that's just fans showing their appreciation to the band. I mean, and I kind of like that. And now since Kiss is no longer touring, they're the only thing that's kind of keeping, you know, Kiss's legacy going, you know, actually. And you know, probably like I've seen more Kiss bands this year than I have, you know, seen Kiss. Because, you know, during the times Kiss was active, I've seen more tribute bands, but I have seen Kiss when they were active. So that's pretty cool, you know. I'm still getting out there and seeing, you know, concerts, but you know that's cool. But, you know, like I said, the whole license thing kind of sounds, you know, like business shit, which does not kind of... I get it that both Gene and Paul kind of, at this point, kind of look at Kiss as like the brand side of things now. But, you know, I still view Kiss as like a band, you know, and tribute bands, you know, are bands also, and to say that, you know, we're giving you a license to continue and we can take it away from you at any time, it's kind of, well, that's... Now you're just talking corporate shit to us now, Paul. But I want to know what you guys think. What do you guys think about this topic? I mean, do you think that Paul is allowed to give a tribute band some sort of license in air quotation marks? Because I know for a fact he doesn't really give him a real actual license. I know that for a fact. He's just from it out there as like a word, you know. But do you believe he's in the right to kind of like sort of revoke the quote unquote license? You know, me personally, I don't agree with it fully. I would like to see the bands kind of continue and then quit on their own rather than Kiss kind of take it away from them. But that's my opinion. But I want to know what you guys think. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments down below. Hope you guys enjoy this topic. Until next time, I'll see you around. See ya.